So the savings hack this week is on the topic of medical bills. You know, there's various reports out there, various studies done over the past 10, 15 years, and medical debt is becoming a growing and more growing issue we have, and the average person has. So depending on what study you read, up to 55% of Americans have some form of medical debt, and some have hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical debt, and more than you would expect. So what I want people to know, our listeners out there, is you can negotiate your medical debt. And as a matter of fact, I shouldn't say you can, I should say you should negotiate your medical debt. Whatever co-pays you have or payments you have to pay that the insurance you have or don't have doesn't cover, negotiate that. You can negotiate it as a cash payer beforehand, and you can negotiate it after the fact when you get that bill 6 months later at your house. And I've done this in my personal life, right? All you have to do when you receive that bill is I actually recommend paying a payment first. Just send in $20 or $25 for the first month or two, and then call them and negotiate a lower payment. And that's not unethical. Some people think it is. There's a lot of fluff tapped on to the top of these medical bills. A lot of things that we're being charged for that necessarily aren't our cost. So that's why these insurance companies, hospitals, doctors, various specialists that send us bills, that's why they're able to negotiate these bills. And you'll be surprised. I've saved as much as 75% before just by making a phone call.
That's outstanding advice. Now, as some of you, if you're watching this podcast, I'm going to show you my left index finger, which has a kink in it.
He's pointing at me.
I am pointing at Saki right now. This injury is a great example of that principle. So I had cut this finger with a table saw, and part of the corner of the top bone is missing, which is why it's pointing at an angle right now. But the corrective surgery with the orthopedic surgeon was on the realm of like $58,000 for that surgery. Well, I didn't have insurance at the time, and I let everybody know up front that I was going to be a cash payer. So they negotiated with me beforehand, and they offered me the Medicaid rate, which was 10% of asking price. So as long as I paid the $5,800 before the surgery, they were happy to call it a day and call that a settled account. So that's what I did. That wasn't cheap, but I had a friend at the time who was willing to help me out, and we made that happen. And that saved a tremendous amount of money. Now, obviously, if I had not paid beforehand and negotiated that down, I'd have a $58,000 bill due at the end of the surgery.
That's amazing.
And of course, they're going to put that on your credit report if you can't pay it.
Sure.
And, that's potentially another topic in and of itself, is how medical debt can impact your credit. But yeah, definitely negotiate. It'll make a big difference.
Yeah. So
front end or back end.
Either way. I have a story about 6-7 years ago. One of my daughters had to go see a specialist for something. She was an athlete. And I found out by discussing it beforehand, which, by the way, it's not going to be easy to discuss these items beforehand. Nobody in this industry, it's such a huge industry, and the left doesn't know what the right's doing. It's very difficult to find out any type of pricing sometimes. So you got to be persistent. You got to stick with it and don't give up. But in this case, I actually paid less. I had insurance for my daughter. After my copay, after insurance covered their portion, was actually going to be more than if I just walked in as a cash payer. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy around. I just have a hard time comprehending how that works. But at the end of the day, it means negotiate your medical bills. Save yourself some money.
Exactly. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that this is one of those areas in life that is negotiable. Go into a used car lot, you can negotiate the price. Going to a furniture store, you can usually negotiate the price. There are some appliance stores where it's common to be able to negotiate the price. A lot of people think, well, that's the sticker price, that's what it is. Well, I'll tell you what, ask the question. Yeah. If they tell you that's what the cost is and they're not going to budge on it, then you haven't lost anything by asking.
Exactly.
But if you ask and you find out that they will negotiate on the price, you're not going to do anything except help yourself out by having that conversation. So
Yeah.
highly recommend that you do it.
Yeah, agreed. Especially if you're willing to pay cash or can pay cash, ask for a cash discount.
The Purposeful Podcast.